Boxing Social here with promoter Eddie Hearn. How you doing?
Very well, very well.
A peaceful press conference.
Yes, not quite like last week, but no, I think both guys, you know, they've been around the game long enough to know that you don't score points through having an aggressive press conference. Jamie's very calm. George is quite good at sort of saying a few things that might wind you up, but he's very chilled. And yeah, ready for fight night.
George mentioned that experience might be a factor that will help him. What do you say to that?
I think Jamie Cox has plenty of experience. You know, I mean, people talk about his amateur career. Of course, that doesn't mean a whole lot in the pros, but puts you in good stead. But also, don't forget, you know, his last big fight was in front of 26,000 at Bramall Lane in May. So it was the same show that George Groves boxed on. So he's boxed on the big stage before. I don't think this is going to come down to whether he can handle the big stage. This will come down to who's the better fighter on the night, and whoever is the better fighter will be the world champion.
If Jamie Cox manages to win on Saturday, how big of an upset do you think that is?
I don't think people in boxing will see it as a huge upset. He's definitely the underdog in the fight, and George Groves is a very good fighter, but if you speak to people in boxing, many people believe Jamie Cox can win this fight on Saturday night. So I don't think in boxing it will be a big upset, but just because of Jamie's profile, the perception will be a big upset. But it wouldn't surprise the team, it wouldn't surprise people in boxing when Jamie wins on Saturday.
Moving on to Dillian Whyte. Any news on his opponent?
No, we're getting there. We're getting there. It's a very frustrating process.
Any names? What's going on right now?
There's a couple of top 15 guys from the division that we want to fight. I don't think the Brazil fight will happen. Brazil wanted the fight, but his team didn't want the fight. So we've actually had quite a few people who have sort of been waiting for fights in camp and been told they're going to be in fights and sort of find out they're not happening. So I think we'll get an announcement over the weekend or Monday at the latest.
Okay. How close was the fight against Hellenius?
Yeah, that's close. Yeah, it was close originally, but then I think they made another fight for November, December. You may know more than me.
Did they decline immediately when you gave them the offer? Or?
No, we made them a couple of offers, and you know, a number that I thought we'd get an agreement on, but they just decided to wait for a fight in November, December. What are you hearing?
Well, I'm asking you.
I'm just telling you from my point. But apparently they're fighting in November, December. That was a fight that we wanted for Dillian. I think Hellenius fight's a good fight. So I'd still like to try and make that fight, but obviously we're running out of time.
Deontay Wilder, Anthony Joshua. That fight is gaining more and more steam. It feels like it's inevitable. It's going to happen. Provided both fighters win their fights. Do you have a specific venue where you would like to host that fight?
Yeah, wherever Anthony Joshua wants it to happen. Deontay Wilder has, you know, in proportion to Anthony Joshua's commercial value, a peanut, and he hasn't fought anyone yet. I'm not saying he doesn't want to, because I believe he is a fighter. I think he's a good fighter as well, but his profile is very, very low, and he needs a big fight. The Ortiz fight was a step in the right direction. Now that's not happening, no fault of his own, but he needs a big fight, and you can't compete with Anthony Joshua. So we want to fight Deontay Wilder, but of course Anthony Joshua sits at the top of the roost, and then we'll let Deontay know when we're going to take that fight.
Yeah, what do you make of his comments about, you know, Britain being the size of smaller than Texas, and no one knows Anthony Joshua?
Britain's the size of Texas, but Anthony Joshua is making 10 times the money of Deontay Wilder. So that says it all, really. I think Deontay Wilder could walk down any major city in New York and he would not be recognised. And he's the world heavyweight champion. End of story.
So I'm assuming that that's the fight to make for 2018.
Yeah, 2018. Yeah, he's got to keep winning, and you know, we've got things to deal with. We've got to see what happens with the WBA situation as well. We've got a Joseph Parker fight, but Wilder's definitely, you know, that's. I don't think Anthony really has a #1 target. He's not really like that. He's just like, yeah, I'll fight them all. Yeah.
I'm assuming the boxing community they see as Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua as the super fight to make in the heavyweight division. Do you think it will live up to the hype?
Yes, I do. I think it's a good fight between two good, young, fast heavyweights, exciting heavyweights. I think it's a great fight.